DelCurto. I am from Montana State University's Department of Economics and Agriculture Economics. I just finished up getting my master's, and my agriculture extension outreach program was to ensure or not ensure spreading awareness of the pasture, rangeland, and forage insurance program. So, a problem that ranchers may run into is low rainfall conditions. And when this happens with uh, more frequency, it can lead to a substantial reduction in forage yields and forage quality, which is a pretty severe problem for ranchers, considering that forage is the primary feed source for the majority of ranching operations across the United States. So, when this occurs, ranchers are faced with tough decisions on whether to increase feed supplementation to meet the dietary needs of their herd, or perhaps they have to liquidate parts of their herd in order to meet the availability of their forage at hand. Now, this could also lead to a potential decrease in herd health. When low rainfall conditions occur and forage quality and yields are limited, this can cause stress to the herd, which in turn could result in decreased weights, conception rates, and a higher susceptibility to disease. So, all in all, this could really result in a pretty costly problem for ranchers, and they could see substantially decreased profits. Now, this figure here illustrates that in the last 10 to 20 years, droughts have been occurring with more regularity and severity, particularly in the western part of the US. And that's just not characteristic to the western part of the US. We've seen those trends occur throughout the United States. So there's really only been hypothesis that this problem is going to persist. So the USDA Risk Management Agency took notice of this problem and decided to create the PRF program in 2007 as a risk management tool for livestock producers who experience losses related to low precipitation. Now, Montana currently has 2.5 million head of cattle and is the #1 cattle seed stock producing state in the nation, meaning that they're the #1 state producing cattle with the purpose of purebred genetics. So, given that cattle production is such an essential part in Montana's economy, we would expect that there may be some interest in taking part in this program. But as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, of the 56 counties in Montana, there are 20 that have shown no acreage enrollment since the program's introduction, which is represented by the white counties. Now, there could be some potential reasons going on why producers are not enrolling in this program. One is a lack of awareness about the program or that the program even exists. Two could be a reluctance to enroll in the program. Historically, the federal government has not created programs specifically designed for livestock producers, so there hasn't been a long history between producers and the federal government programs, so there may be a slight mistrust happening. So our target audience is first Montana livestock producers. This program was designed for them, so it's important that they have every available piece of operation to make the most informed decisions for their operations. Our second target audience is federal government employees. Now, we've already worked with the federal government and doing research with them, which is important because those are the ones designing the program. So it's really important that we create a dialogue and kind of serve as an intermediary between the livestock producers who utilize the program and those that are designing the program. So the goals of this program is first to educate livestock producers about what the PRF program is so that they can make the most informed and optimal decisions for their individual operations. And I want to point out right here that we're not advocating that ranchers take part in this, that all ranchers take part in this program, as it might not be ideal for every ranching scenario. But we believe it's important that they have every available piece of information when making those choices. Our second goal is to deliver research findings that has been done in partnership with the federal government to livestock producers that may find them beneficial, as well as help establish a better dialogue and relationship between ranchers and federal government program providers. Now, the last two goals kind of go hand in hand. Um, as I previously mentioned, there hasn't been a long history between livestock producers and federal government programs. So we are really hoping that we can better establish that relationship and bridge that informational gap by doing research for the federal government that we can deliver not only to the government, but also to the producer. So our outreach can be split into two categories, the research we've done, as well as the communication methods and activities, which I'll go over in further detail. Our extension team and partners include Montana State University's Agriculture Extension, the USDA Risk Management Agency Office of Chief Economist and Economic Research Services, Fort Peck Community College, and then future partners we'd like to work with is Montana Stock Growers Association and Montana Wool Growers Association. So for my master's thesis, I conducted research with one of the primary goals being to help the USDA RMA evaluate how their current changes that they made in the last 5 or so years may impact a rancher's decision to participate and choose certain coverage levels. So overall, I found preliminary evidence that ranchers display a demand sensitivity to changes that affect the premium price, as well as evidence that producers follow an expected utility theory in choosing the highest coverage levels, especially when coverage levels have the same subsidy rate. Now, although my findings are a little more beneficial to the USDA RMA who are designing the program, it's also helped us identify counties in Montana that have low participation or no participation and identify potential reasons for that low enrollment, as well as understand the program in greater detail and be able to convey those recent changes in the functionings of the program better to potential producers and existing participants within the program. So the completed outreach activities that we have done was I wrote a blog post for Montana State University's Ag Extension blog site, AgEconMT, where I did a brief overview of just what the PRF program is. I also conducted a webinar presentation in partnership with Fort Peck Community College, which went out to all reservations in Montana. There were 38 participants. And again, I went over just a brief overview of what the PRF program is, just some preliminary findings from my research and how the PRF program may function slightly different when using it for reservation land. I also conducted research that Dr. Kate Fuller used in workshops and training courses. She did farm management workshops, including Risk Management 101 and Agriculture Insurance 101, which both served as Farm Service Agency borrower trainings. And she had approximately 80 participants from both extension and ranching backgrounds. So future outreach activities that we hope to do is create informational fact sheets and reports to have readily on hand and be able to distribute to producers that address what the program is, historical program performance in the counties, including indemnity amounts received and frequency of lower than average rainfall conditions, as well as a cost-benefit analysis of enrolling for different program types in different locations. We'd also like to do a series of in-person talks at conferences, including Montana Stock Growers Association, Montana Wool Growers Association, and more extension and producer workshops, of course, whenever COVID allows us to do so. And then informational talks on podcasts and television networks, including Montana State University's Ag Econ MT podcast and Montana Ag Live television network. So, as far as evaluating her results, Dr. Fuller was able to do more informal post workshop evaluations. However, through all of our activities that we've done through this, we've received really positive feedback with pretty generic, great job. This was really informative. Keep up the good work. However, moving forward, we would really like to do a more formal evaluation where we do pre programmed surveys by email and mail to assess the knowledge gap between livestock producers and their willingness to participate in the PRF program to get a more definite answer of why producers may be reluctant to enroll, and then assess it post program and to see where those attitudes and knowledge has maybe shifted. Thank you. Are there any questions?
All right, you are well within the 15-minute time frame, so I will stop the recording and